All right, we're going to continue on. Example 2 is much like example 1, but I want you to see some different viewpoints that you could see on the test. So first of all, we've already kind of looked at graphing. If I notice, again, in between the picture and the answer choices is the question. Based on this graph, between which two values is a 0 located? Let me use a different color. A 0 located. So again, it's asking me for that 0. That means it's the x-intercept. It's wanting to know this point and this point. And this one is a little bit tricky because we know it's like negative 1.5 approximately, and this is in between 4 and 5, so that's like 4.5. But that's not what this is asking. It's asking between which two values is the 0. So it's between negative 1 and negative 2. Then we don't have negative 1 and negative 2 down here. It's between 4 and 5. So it's between 4 and 5, then that's our answer. Okay. Now it could specifically ask for both of these too. When it's a parabola, there's two solutions or two zeros. All right. Now notice I just said solutions. It could also say solutions down here. It's another word. Okay. Next, they gave us an equation and asked us what is the 0. So add a graph. Go type this equation in. 8, 3, x minus 16. Enter. And it's right here where it crosses. Now, the calculator will find this exact value too. It's under Menu, Analyze, and notice the first one is 0. So if you're looking for the x-intercept, it's also called this. I don't think I hit 0. Let me press Escape. Maybe I did. Menu, Analyze the graph, 0. And then you have the click, slide, click again. Click, slide, click. And so 6 right there is where it touches the x-axis. That's my 0. That's my answer. Crosses at 6. Answer 6. All right. Next way, we can look at this in a table form. If I can make this a little bit bigger so you can see. It's the same question. This time it doesn't necessarily say 0, but it says what is the other solution? Okay, which also means 0, which means x-intercept. And this one says it's showing me a table. It says if one solution of g of x is equal to 0, what is the other solution? So they told us, again, we have two solutions. One of them is 0. One of them is 1, sorry. Now they want to know when g of x. Well, g of x is the same thing as y equals, or g of x equals, or f of x equals. And if you look up here, they put x and g of x, where normally we put x and y. But g of x and y are equivalent. They're equal to each other. So I just look in the table. Here's 0. Answer's 3. They want to know when g of x is equal to 0. Here's g of x. It equals 0. What is it? 3. There's your answer. Okay, so if it's asking from a table, the information you need is right there. They said g of x equals 0, and then you have to look at your input. All right, here's one for you to try. So home, excuse me, new document, save changes, no, add the graph. I'm typing in that equation, 6x squared minus 11x plus 3. Enter. And notice again the question in between the picture and answer choices says, what are the zeros? It could have said, what are the x-intercepts? It could have said, what's the y-intercept? And you would just be looking for where it touches the y-axis. And it could have said, what are the solutions? Any of those things would have mattered. So once I have it in the calculator, Menu, Analyze. Again, I'm looking for the 0. So I click, slide, click. Now, there's 2 answers on here. If I slide too far, it's going to give me the second one. If I stay tighter, it gives me the first one. So here's the first one. Then I can do it again. Menu, Analyze the graph, 0. And then I click here, slide, and click, and it gives me the second one. So now I have both points. The first one is 0.333. Again, this is a decimal. If you're not sure, you can come over here. You can type, you can delete all that out. You can type 0.3333333, menu, go to number, and then it says approximate to a fraction. So you can turn the decimal into a fraction, click enter. And it didn't work that time because this is a repeated decimal. This is the decimal. Well, you can use your answer choices too, but 0.33, you can just memorize this. 0.3333 equals 1/3. All right, equals 1/3. Now you could just go to this calculate and type 1/3. Remember, you have to put the decimal point, click enter, and it also matches 0.33. Now to get back to my graph, I hit home, number 4, and that gives me back to the graph. Okay, so the first one is 1/3, and the second one is 1.5. And this is also a fraction, 3/2. So control divide, 3/2, decimal point, and I can see that's a decimal of 1.5. So D is the correct answer. Here are 2 more. I just want to run through these with you. Because we have some of the same things. Again, what is a solution? That means I'm looking for the x-intercepts. And it says again, Rx equals 0. Because any point on the x-axis has y as 0. Y is always 0, and then x has a value. And so, actually, can I even see this? This is -2, -4, -6. So I have -6 here. And then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 14. So that's 14 and 0 and -6 and 0. They says, what is a solution? So it's one of the two, and 14 right there is a solution. Now, this is a griddable. This was on the last year that they had the test. This was on there. And again, it says, what is the positive solution? It gives me a quadratic. So I've got to find a solution again. Now, I have 4x squared plus 12x equals 135. When it's a quadratic and you don't have everything on the same side, you've got to get everything on the same side. So that means you've got to subtract 135 to both sides. When you do that, you rewrite 4x squared plus 12x minus 135. And then that really equals 0. Okay, that equals 0. And 0 is like y equals or f of x equals. Okay, and then you got to type this in. So again, you can't type this in a calculator because it's not equal to 0 or y or f of x. So in this particular one, you have to use that algebra skill and move that 135 to the other side. Then you can type it in, no problem. Add a graph, 4x squared plus 12x minus 135. Enter. So here's where they cross. Menu, analyze, 0, click, slide, click, menu, analyze, 0, click, slide, click. Now, specifically, it asked for the positive case. So one of them is negative and one of them is positive, so the answer would have been 4.5, or the answer is 4.5. Okay.